What's going on, everybody? So today was finally the day. I've been waiting for this day for 2 fucking years, and that is the season 8 premiere of Game of Thrones. Holy shit, was this an episode? And now I'm going to talk about all of it with you guys in this review. There are going to be spoilers, so if you haven't watched this week's episode or you haven't watched Game of Thrones at all, why the fuck are you on this review? I'm sorry, but seriously, why are you? That makes no sense. But yeah, let's just dive right into it because there is a lot to talk about. So, this episode basically started off kind of how season 1, episode 1 started off, with a young boy pushing through the crowd like Bran was when King Robert was coming in, but this time it was Daenerys and Jon coming in to Winterfell. The kid climbed the tree, and see Bran climbed up the tower to get a good look at Robert. So that was a nice little moment, and then we get to see Arya in the crowd, and Jon didn't even see her. You know, he didn't look down at her. So they didn't see, he didn't see her then, but when he made it into Winterfell, he saw Bran. He hopped off that fucking horse, and he went and he gave his brother a hug. And of course, then Bran's like, we need to talk, and was like, you know, the dragons got past the wall, they have your dragon. You know, he just told them everything that happened at the very end of season 7's finale, which I thought was great, even though they didn't really address, again, the whole, Night King having the dragon. I wish they would have touched on that a little bit more. But you know what? There's still 5 more episodes for them to talk about that. And actually, there's a lot that they need to talk about to wrap up this series, because this is the final season of Game of Thrones. So there's still a lot that they need to talk about. But yeah, so, you know, Sansa, obviously, you know, she met Daenerys. She's not a big fan of her. You know, the Bannermen are not happy that Jon, you know, bent the knee to the queen, because they named him King of the North. And he came back and he's nothing, really. You know, he's just back to being a bastard that they know of. So, yeah, they're not real happy with him right now. So you have that going on. Luckily, they're still going to fight for him. And, you know, he had his, you know, their best intentions, you know, in his mind when he bent the knee. You know, it was, I did this so we could have an army, 2 armies, and 2 motherfucking dragons. You can't beat that. So, yeah. And then, you know, they had, you know, Tyrion got up and was like, look, you know, if we all survive this, you have Jon Snow to think about, you know, thank you for this, because he is the one that, you know, is leading this war. And, you know, then he said that, you know, the Lannister army was coming up there, which obviously pissed them off even more. But obviously that's not really going to happen. So, you know, it was nice to see Tyrion actually talk to the Northerners. And there's also a nice little moment with Sir, I'm slipping on his name, Sir Jorah Mormont, the leader of the Night Watch's, past leader of the Night Watch's son, who's, you know, Sam saved him from Dragon's Scale and stuff like that. He's been with Daenerys this whole time. He, you know, was telling Tyrion that, you know, the Northerners are really stubborn and you have to earn their loyalty. And Jon has that. So he basically made the proposition to Tyrion, and the little birds guys, the eunuch, I'm slipping on his name. There's a lot of characters' names that showed up because everyone is in Winterfell right now, so all the main characters are there, and I am slipping on this motherfucker's name. It'll probably come to me. You know, he proposed that we probably need them to rule together, because they obviously can see that they're a couple, you know, they're into each other, they're both into each other, and so then, because then they look out and see them out on the ground amongst the soldiers and stuff, you know, talking, get real cuddly with each other. And then it goes to Daenerys and Jon, you know, one of the Dothraki comes up and says that the dragons aren't eating. So then they go ride to go see the dragons because they don't like the North. So Daenerys hops on the back of Drogo, and then the other dragon comes up and starts getting close to Jon, and she's like, "Go on, then." He's like, "What if he doesn't want me to ride with him? Then it was nice knowing you." Type shit. And they have really great chemistry. They really do. And Jon got to ride a motherfucking dragon finally, all by himself, and it was nice. And then you get to see more of their relationship. You get to see how much they love each other, because they do. Daenerys really does love him, and I think that he is falling in love with her too. And if he is, then he's obviously not making the same mistake as he did with Ygritte, the wildling girl that he fell in love with back in season 4. Because he never chose a side. He wasn't a wildling. He wasn't, he was the Night Watchman, so he always chose the Night's Watch over her, and that got her killed. And obviously he is, choosing Daenerys fully, so that same mistake does not happen. And so they went to this nice, beautiful landscape waterfall, and basically got real close and started kissing. And it's nice to see them two together. It really does, because I honestly do think that they are going to be king and queen ruling together, like Mormont suggested they do, which that hasn't been brought to their attention. And then Sansa, she's kind of pissy about Jon leaving, and she doesn't agree with the way that he's ruling, and she doesn't trust the Targaryen, even though the Starks and Targaryens were allies for thousands of years and really didn't become enemies until the Mad King, because the Mad King burnt their granddad, and then with Robert's rebellion, he thought that Jon's dad kidnapped his mother, and really they were just in love. So that whole thing. And then with Jon in season 7 talking to the two houses whose fathers supported the Boltons instead of Jon, the Starks, Sansa wanted to kick them out of the castle and give it to a family who supported him, but he's like, the people who betrayed me, they're dead. Their kids have nothing to do with them, and they're their own people with their own decisions and their own mistakes to make, and they pledge their loyalty to them. So I think that how it's going is it's a trend, is that Jon believes that everyone is their own person, and he believes that Daenerys is not her father. He knows that she's not her father. Same way he knows that Tyrion is not his sister or his father. He's his own person. Tyrion's a good man. So, Sansa can't get past that. As always, in the past, they made this mistake. That house, that family in the past did, they betrayed us. They did this, they did that. When all those people that did that, that's in the past. You have to learn from the past, not get hung up on people's names, and move forward and build relationships. And Jon is thinking about the future and everything, and that's what makes him such a great leader. And see, Daenerys, she's like in between Sansa and Jon. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they care about Sansa and Daenerys' relationship, because honestly, if Daenerys is going to date Jon, she has to get along with his family, because family is everything to Jon. Arya is gonna love her. She hasn't met her yet. Bran, I think he knows that she's a good person. Which Bran, honestly, I still don't know what the fuck Bran's deal is quite yet, because I honestly thought that Bran would have a much bigger role in this episode, with them doing a lot of details and filling in plot holes and just a lot of information, and he really didn't. But it's just, this episode was chock full of nice moments that we've been wanting to see forever, and it's a nice introduction to the final season. It is really setting up everything. Jon got to see, Arya eventually when he was out by the tree, and they had a nice moment. Sansa then questioned, Jon, why he bent the knee. Was it really for the northern people, or was it because you love the queen? And I think it's both. And he didn't answer, but I really do think it's both. The Night's Watchmen, they're all going to come to Winterfell now. Tormund and them were, after the castle. We found out that him and the dude with the eye patch that keeps coming back to life from the Lord of Light, they're both alive. They're in between Winterfell and the dead army, and they came across the like they said that his name. Like I said, there's a lot of names in this episode, so forgive me for not knowing everyone's name. It was that little boy that pledged back loyalty to the Starks. He was dead, and he was speared in his body was speared on a wall, and then had these like body limbs making out his, and I want to say it's the house symbol. His house symbol. So how the fuck the Night King knows what the house sigil is beyond me. And then it got lit on fire, and that was the last we saw of that, until they they also came across Tormund, came across the dude from the Night Watch that Jon was real close with. And it was funny when they came around the corner because it was a dark corridor. He's like, blue eyes. He has blue eyes. And Tormund's like, I've always had blue eyes, you cunt. And I'm paraphrasing. I'm probably adding cunt to it. But yeah, that, like I said, just nice little moments. So yeah, we also, at the very beginning, I meant to say this, we finally got an overhead view of Winterfell. And honestly, I thought Winterfell was a lot smaller because they always said it was a small place. And I always thought that the tree was outside the walls, and it's not. And just Winterfell looks a hell of a lot bigger than they let on, because we've only ever really seen inside certain things in the courtyard. We've never really seen any other parts of Winterfell. But it's a lot bigger than I thought it was. And obviously, there's something more about the catacombs. There is. There's really something more about the catacombs that I don't know yet. And yeah, also, before I forget, and I know I'm kind of rambling on, but that's just the way does my thought process and talking and shit like that. Sam, found out that Daenerys killed her father and brother. I don't really think he cares so much about his dad getting killed. But his brother, he's a little pissed off about that. Hopefully he, realizes that she gave them every chance to change their mind, and they never did. They were just loyal to Cersei, and it got them killed. She couldn't show weakness in that moment, because it would be weakness. Yeah, there's a time and place to execute people, and there's a time and place to, spare them. But if you're a leader, and you say that you're going to do something, you have this option or this option, and they made their choice. You can't flip-flop, because then people ain't gonna, take your word. So when you make a threatening, threat to someone, they're gonna be like, nah, you're just gonna do the opposite of that, so I have nothing to worry about. And she proved them wrong. And it's all a logic, a power move to make sure that people realize that she is a woman of her word. So I'm sure over time Sam will come to realize, that Daenerys is a good person and that. But after he found out that, he went down, he saw Bran outside. Bran's like, it's time. And Bran told Sam to be the one to go tell Jon who he really is. And it's interesting that they didn't let Bran. Like I said, I thought Bran would be the one to have a bigger role in telling Jon everything. And I still think he is. But but Sam went down there and told him everything, and yeah, we don't really know how he feels about it. I know that he does not want the Seven Kingdoms. Like, Sam kept saying, you're the true ruler of the Seven Kingdoms, heir to the throne, but I really don't think Jon wants it. The only way Jon would take it is if he married Daenerys and he was the king, they were king and queen. But yeah, fucking fantastic episode. A lot of shit went on in this episode. Even though it's a lot of dialogue, and no action. A lot of shit went on in this episode, and we have 5 more episodes left, so shit's gonna hit the fan really fucking fast. So yeah, I'm gonna give Game of Thrones season 8 episode 1 a 5 out of 5 star. This is my favorite show. I am so fucking excited for the rest of this season. I wish that HBO did what Netflix does and just drops the whole season in one fucking day so I could just sit down and binge watch the motherfucker. But they don't. So, yeah. I don't know. I just, if you follow me on my social media, I've been tweeting and, my excitement for this episode, this season and for the premiere of it. So, yeah, all my social media will be down in the description. Links will be down there. So, go on over there and follow me. It's a hell of a lot of fun. Yeah, I tweet random shit. I post stuff on Instagram. I go live on Instagram. Just a lot of fun over there. So if you want to get to know me better and follow, my progress on my YouTube channel and what I'm doing in life, just follow me over there. Because I won't always do, personal update videos. That's just not me. But yeah, 5 out of 5 for this episode. Can't wait for next week's episode. I am going to be reviewing every single episode in this series. And then after the series, I plan on doing a motherfucking podcast with a group of people who also watched this season. And we're going to talk about everything that happened from season 1 all the way to now. And if we liked how they wrapped it up, if we thought that they, answered all the big plot holes that, that they've left open since season 1, questions that we've had that never got answered. So I do plan on doing that. So yeah, a lot of fun stuff to come with Game of Thrones. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, then like that video, like this video. Also down in the comments, let me know what you thought of this episode. Are you excited how this, that this is the season finale, final season? Do you wish that there was another season? How do you think this show's going to wrap up? Do you think it's going to be a nice ending, a horrible ending? Honestly, I could see them just letting the dead win. Or as long as Cersei doesn't win, I'm good with. They can kill everyone off and I'd be okay. Just don't let Cersei win. But yeah, like the video if you liked it. Also share it with all your friends, family, everyone that you know, and even people that you don't know. And hit that subscribe button for more awesome content like this. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Goodbye.